Welcome, guys. It's super awesome to have you all here at my talk. I'm Tamás from Bitrise, and today we are going to talk about some of the steps of reducing the wall clock time and basically doing more faster. Yeah, the agenda for today's session, I'm just going to talk a few words about myself, just so that you know who is presenting here today. We are going to go through the mobile DevOps value pillars, which are basically the main value differentiators that mobile-specific DevOps brings to your mobile development solutions. Then we are going to dig into automated CI/CD, and through basically a four-step model, we are going to look at the automation itself and the improvement steps after that, parallelizing, looking at key value caching and remote caching as well. Yeah, so I'm Tamás. I'm a part of the solutions engineering team at Bitrise. I initially started my career as a full-stack engineer. I've been working with Java, .NET, working mainly on an enterprise buyer platform. And after a couple of years, I decided to move into the QA space. I started with manual QA, and as time passed, I started to also dig into test automation. This basically helped me to make better use of my knowledge as a full-stack engineer and basically use that to create automated test cases. And as part of that, I also started to work on mobile development, both for Android and iOS. A bit more than 5 years ago, I joined Bitrise with another career switch, basically. I went from the QA space to the support and joined Bitrise as an L2 support agent. After that, I moved over to the solutions engineering team, and this is what I'm doing currently as well. The main purpose of my role is to basically help our clients figure out if really Bitrise is a solution that fits their use case, and if Bitrise really is a long-term solution that they can use to increase their efficiency. Yeah, let's talk a few words about the mobile DevOps value pillars. We created basically 6 different categories, pillars basically, on that front, which are the main drivers that bring value of implementing mobile DevOps solutions. One is the IT ops automation, basically uploading the management and the scaling of the build infrastructure. The other is the workflow management, basically managing all the different workflows, pipelines that you are using, making sure that all the different integrations are in place and you are able to still use any kind of third-party tools that you are using. The next one is the CI and test automation, basically ensuring that your test cases can scale their execution as well. You are able to cover multiple devices, which are crucial to bring your customers the expected quality in your application, and also ensure that you are able to view those test results and see the trends over time. The next one is security automation, basically ensuring that your application is built securely and created securely as well from a very early stage. Basically, with mobile DevOps, you would be able to implement a shift-left testing kind of approach, where you are testing as early as possible and as frequently as possible to make sure that as few bugs get out to production as possible. The next one is app release management, basically ensuring that you have the same processes in place and well-defined processes to releasing to the different stores for the Play Store, for the Apple Store. And the last one is Mobile DevOps Insights, basically enabling you to make sure that you know what is taking longer, what impact your code changes have to your CI/CD flows, and how these also impact your development processes. So I broke it down to 4 different phases. The initial crawling phase, where you are automating your CI/CD processes. The walking phase, where you are doing parallelization. The running phase, where you are already caching at least the dependencies. And the flying phase, where you are basically using remote cache to ensure that your CI/CD processes are running as smoothly as possible. So, quick question to the audience. How many of you feel like you are currently in the crawling phase? Hands up. Awesome. Just to ensure that everybody is a bit more, has a bit more courage to raise their hands next time, I'm just going to hand out this to you, as I saw you were the first. And let's go on to the walking phase. How many of you are parallelizing your current workflows? Awesome. I think you were the first there, so you are getting this one. How many of you are currently in the running phase, caching dependencies? Yeah, you were the first. Thank you so much. And let's see, how many of you are currently in the fly phase? I didn't even have time to say it, so great job. Enjoy. Awesome. So, as I saw, you all are quite advanced in these different phases. There are definitely some of you who are in the early phases, but it's really great to see that quite a few of you already saw the impact and are already implementing these approaches. So, let's talk about automated CI/CD. What are the key elements? Of course, CI/CD, continuous integration, basically ensuring that there is a process, ensuring that there is a process to integrate new code changes into your main or development branch, and and that this code compiles and also runs correctly. And for continuous delivery, basically ensuring that the code is always releasable and stable. Sorry, just have to get a bit water. All right, much better now. So, let's talk about why you would want to go and automate your CI/CD processes. The very first part, most probably quite a few of you already know this, but ensuring that your customers are happy. Basically, with CI/CD and the automation side, you would be able to create better bug-free user experience, catch bugs as early as possible, and release new features faster. It also increases the productivity. Your developers will need to do less firefighting, less context switching, and would be able to spend more time on coding. And it also enables you to have a quicker recovery time from any kind of incidents that you are facing. Yeah, and let's look at how you can achieve this. There are 4 different points that are basically crucial to automate your CI/CD processes. One is the hardware. You definitely need to make sure that you have those build machines in places. For iOS, I think there are a couple of Flutter devs here as well. So for example, for their iOS executions, you would need basically a macOS machine to be able to run your builds. You need to make sure that the networking is set up correctly and that the machines always have power. The next one is a consistent environment, basically making sure that if you bump into an issue, you still have a way to debug that specific issue. This can be achieved with virtualization, and you need to make sure that those virtual machines are always set up correctly and that they have the correct tools pre-installed. Yeah, you have to make sure that the build agents are configured correctly as well. Whenever you are starting a new build, those are starting up in the correct virtual machine, in the correct environment, and that you have all the specific steps that are required to execute your flow. And the next one is basically the team to manage this. Yeah, so let's look at how this looks. Basically, you would need to make sure that the hardware is present. You can use, for example, Docker to ensure that you are always using a consistent environment and that the builds are always reproducible. If you bump into any build issue, any kind of problems, then you would be able to debug that effectively, and you wouldn't be stuck with basically an environment that is already corrupted. Yeah. Besides that, you need to configure the CI/CD flows correctly as well to make sure that you have everything set up there. You have to make sure that the integrations are in place, and for this, you would definitely need either some kind of a configuration file or a UI that would enable you to configure these different executions. For example, a YAML file, which is a quite frequently used configuration option. And you definitely need the integrations. There are quite a few command line interfaces that you would be able to use to quickly achieve this, but there are definitely always, or in most cases, APIs that you can make use of to connect much more easily to the environment itself or to the third-party integration. So now we basically have a functioning CI/CD solution. What happens now? You would need to start improving the build automation as well, because as your application is growing, it's inevitable that things start to slow down. Yeah, as I mentioned, the app grows. You are pulling in more dependencies. You are increasing the test coverage. These are all different points that basically take longer to execute. Also, once you have a functioning solution in place, you can already start looking into how you can enable your team to basically work faster and more efficiently. This would also allow you to basically get ahead of competition and make sure that you are able to release those new features as fast as possible. And of course, one of the financial reasons is definitely there. Basically, just to be able to do more by paying less. Yeah, let's look at a couple of options how you would be able to parallelize and improve your build automation processes. One of the easiest one, of course, is parallelization, ensuring that whatever kind of tasks you are running in parallel wherever it's possible, and decreasing the overall wall clock time, basically, in a super easy way. If you look at the build right there, just to bring an example, if you just add together all the different execution times, you can see that it would take around 7-8 minutes, but instead of that, you are able to cut down the duration to simply just 4 minutes, which is half of the sum of total build times there. Yeah, now that we have parallelization in place, it's really great to also think about how you can cache all the different dependencies and all the different tools that you are using. So a really good solution, if you are building a more complex environment that potentially has different dependency tools or dependency management tools in them, is using a key-based solution. For example, if we look at Flutter, there can be Cocoa Pods dependencies and there are Gradle dependencies, and you don't necessarily need all of those if you just want to build for a single platform. If you are using a key-based caching solution, you would be able to only pull the dependencies that are really relevant for you. So what gets cached? Basically, you would be able to cache anything from Ruby tools that are pre-installed, from the dependencies as well, from different build tools, or even the configuration cache as well. And with a key-based caching solution, you can configure it quite granularly, whichever you want to download. Yeah, and just to look at an example, so here you can see this is a React Native app that at the initial phase took roughly 60 minutes to complete by installing all the dependencies, executing all the tests, and building for Android and iOS as well. Then with pipelines and parallelization in the second row as basically the walk, it went down to 30 minutes. And with key value caching, it went down to 15 minutes. Just to bring another example, I've been working with one of our clients, and they had initially on Android a 36-minute execution time. We sit together with them, had a workshop, and managed to push down from that 36 minutes the execution time of their builds to 18 minutes, simply by parallelizing and enabling key-based caching on their solution. So now we have a super awesome configuration on the CI side, but we still want to go faster, as always. Let's just look at how Gradle works. Basically, it is building one or more projects, and each of these projects are simply made up of tasks. Task is basically the atomic part of any kind of build process, and these are executed to compile the projects and generate the build archive. Just to look at the guiding principle, the best way to work faster is to avoid doing anything at all. This goes for task executions as well. So why should we rerun any kind of tasks if their inputs didn't change? And you can see it right here that there were no input changes. On the left-hand side, the task execution is basically being avoided. And on the right-hand side, you can see that the input changed, and this triggered a recompilation of that given task. Just a quick overview of how this looks on the CI side and the local build execution side. Having that remote cache server enables you to make use of it on the CI side of things and also on your local environment, just to be able to have that common cache which is accessible for everyone and can download or upload any kind of task outputs and avoid basically using CPU and RAM instead just doing a network communication to execute it. And one other example, just to quickly have a look at how the build speed can be improved simply by adding dependency caching and also remote build caching. Yeah, so this was quite a fast talk, and we did a mobile DevOps value pillar series. If you are interested in those, where we are talking about basically our value pillars, you would be able to check that out right there. Or if you would have any kind of questions, we have a booth here at DroidCon, so feel free to drop by. Thank you.